Admiral Victor stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring at the small blue planet below. Earth, that was what the natives called it. He had conquered 47 worlds in his career. This would be his 48th. The easiest one yet, according to the reports. "Admiral, all 9,700 ships are in position," his second officer reported. The officer's voice carried confidence. Why wouldn't it? The Calthrine Empire had never lost a war. Not in 3,000 years, Victor nodded slowly. He looked at the data screens showing Earth's defenses. Primitive rockets. Simple satellites. Nuclear weapons that couldn't even reach orbit properly. The planet had 11 billion inhabitants, but they were divided into hundreds of nations. They fought each other constantly. They had no unified defense system. "This world will fall before their sun sets twice," Victor announced to his crew. They cheered. Some laughed. Another easy victory for the Empire. On Earth, alarms screamed across every continent. Satellites had picked up the massive fleet 12 hours ago. At first, scientists thought their instruments were broken. No fleet could be that large. But the readings were correct. Nearly 10,000 alien warships now surrounded their planet. In Seoul, Captain Hyeon Woo ran toward his fighter jet. Other pilots scrambled around him, pulling on helmets and checking equipment. His call sign was Ghost. He had earned it by being hard to track during training exercises. Today, he would need to be a real ghost to survive. "How many ships?" Hyeon Woo asked his ground crew. "Almost 10,000, sir," a young technician replied. His hands shook as he connected the fuel line. Hyeon Woo climbed into his cockpit. 10,000 ships? His squadron had 36 fighters. The math was simple and terrifying. But he pushed the fear down. Math didn't matter. Duty did. His family was in Seoul, his sister, his parents, his nephew who just started school. He would hold the line until they could evacuate. At Seoul Space Defense Institute, Dr. Jia studied the alien communication signals. She was an astrophysicist, one of the best in her field. For 8 hours, she had been analyzing the patterns in the alien broadcasts. They weren't even trying to hide their messages. They didn't think Earth could decode them. "They're arrogant," Ga muttered to her colleague. "Look at this. They're broadcasting their attack plans in plain code. What do the plans say?" Her colleague asked. G-A single quotes S face went pale. "They expect total surrender in 6 hours. They've already divided Earth among their commanders. They're arguing about who gets which continent." In the Pacific Ocean, Commander Taeyong stood on the bridge of his destroyer. He was admiral of the Pacific Defense Fleet, 20 ships under his command. He had fought in naval exercises and peacetime missions. Never a real war. Now he faced an enemy from the stars. "Sir, we're receiving orders from UN Command," his communications officer said. "All fleets are to engage the enemy if they enter our airspace." Taeyong picked up his radio. He broadcast to all his ships. "They think we're like the other worlds they conquered. They think we'll break easily. They're treating us like primitives. But they haven't learned what we learned from our own history. They haven't learned that humans fight hardest when we're cornered." At the United Nations, Ambassador Yul stood before the Emergency Security Council. Representatives from every nation filled the room. For once, no one argued about politics or borders. The alien fleet had done what centuries of diplomacy couldn't. It had united humanity. "We have 6 hours, Yul said. Maybe less. Our analysts say each of their ships can destroy an entire city with one shot. We cannot match their technology. We cannot match their numbers. Then what can we do?" Someone asked. Yul looked around the room. "We can make them regret coming here. We can show them that humans don't surrender. Not today. Not ever." Above Earth, Admiral Victor gave the order. "Begin the invasion. All ships enter the atmosphere. Target their major cities first. Disable their command structures." The massive fleet began to descend. Thousands of ships, each one larger than Earth's biggest aircraft carrier. Their shields glowed as they pushed through the atmosphere. Their weapons charged, ready to fire. Victor watched the descent on his screens. He had done this dozens of times before. The pattern was always the same. The natives would fire their primitive weapons. The weapons would bounce off Calthrine's shields. Then the natives would panic. Then they would surrender, simple, clean, efficient, but something felt different about Earth. Victor couldn't explain it. Maybe it was how their satellites kept tracking his fleet even after he destroyed dozens of them. New satellites kept appearing. Maybe it was how their communication channels stayed active. He had jammed their signals, but they switched frequencies instantly. They adapted fast. "Sir, we're detecting launches from multiple continents," his tactical officer reported. "Missiles. Hundreds of them." "Ignore them," Victor ordered. "Their missiles cannot penetrate our shields." The missiles hit. Just as predicted, they exploded harmlessly against the Calthrine shields. But Victor noticed something odd. The humans kept firing. Even after seeing their weapons fail, they kept attacking. Most species stopped after the first failed attempt. They realized resistance was pointless. But not humans. They just fired more missiles. Captain Hyun-woo launched his fighter into the sky. Around him, 35 other jets formed up. Below, he could see Seoul, millions of people trying to evacuate. Cars jammed every highway. Trains overflowed with passengers. He needed to buy them time. "Ghost Squadron, stay tight," Hyun-woo radioed. "We're outnumbered, but we know these skies. Make every shot count." The first alien ships descended over Seoul. They were massive, blocking out the sun. Their weapons began to glow, preparing to fire on the city below. Hyun-woo locked onto the nearest ship and fired his missiles. They hit the shields and exploded. No damage, he expected that. But he noticed something. For a split second, maybe a third of a second, the shield flickered after impact. A tiny gap. A weakness. "All pilots, I saw something," Hyun-woo broadcast. "Their shields flicker when hit. There's a recharge time. Very short, but it's there." Dr. Ja sat in her lab, listening to the air raid sirens. She should evacuate. Everyone else in the building had left. But she stayed at her computer, studying the alien signals. If she could find a weakness, any weakness, it might help. The alien broadcasts showed their commanders arguing. They were shocked at human resistance. One commander complained that the humans weren't surrendering. Another said their casualties were higher than expected. Casualties? Geha thought. We're actually killing them. She recorded everything and sent it to military command. Then she grabbed her emergency bag and ran for the shelter above the Pacific. Commander Taeyang's fleet engaged alien landing craft. The craft were meant to deploy ground troops. His ships fired everything they had. Conventional weapons, experimental railguns, even old torpedo systems. Most shots bounced off alien shields. But some got through. Some of the landing craft exploded and crashed into the ocean. "Keep firing," Taeyang ordered. "Don't let them land." An alien cruiser turned its weapons on Taeyang's flagship. One shot. The destroyer's shields failed instantly. The ship began to list. Fires broke out across 3 decks. "Abandon ship," Taeyang ordered. But he stayed on the bridge. As his crew evacuated, he aimed his dying ship at the alien cruiser and pushed the engines to full power. The destroyer crashed into the cruiser's shields at full speed. The shields held for 2 seconds, then failed. Both ships exploded in a massive fireball across Earth. The battle raged. Humans died by the thousands. But they didn't retreat. They didn't surrender. Every time an alien ship thought an area was secure, humans counterattacked. Soldiers, civilians, anyone who could hold a weapon. Admiral Victor watched his casualty reports climb. After 6 hours, he had lost 200 ships. 200! His last 3 campaigns combined hadn't cost 200 ships. What is wrong with these creatures? He demanded. Why won't they surrender? His tactical officer had no answer. Neither did anyone else on the bridge. They had never encountered anything like this. Humans fought like they had nothing to lose. No, they fought like they had everything to lose. Victor looked at Earth again. The blue planet didn't seem so small anymore. It seemed dangerous. For the first time in his career, he felt something unfamiliar: fear. Lieutenant Bioram sat in her tank, watching the alien walkers approach. There were 5 of them, each one 3 stories tall. Their plasma cannons glowed blue in the darkness. Her tank battalion had 12 vehicles. The math was bad, but Bioram had stopped caring about math. "Hold position," she ordered her crew. "Wait until they're close." The walkers strode forward with confidence. Their sensors had detected the human tanks hiding. In the ruined buildings of downtown Seoul, the aliens probably thought the humans would run. Most species ran when they saw Calthrine walkers. Bioram's tank didn't run. None of them did. "Fire!" The Oram screamed. 12 tanks fired at once. The shells hit the lead walker's legs. The shields held, but the impact made the walker stumble. It crashed into a building, momentarily tangled in debris. "Move!" "New position." The Oram ordered. Her tank reversed out of its hiding spot and raced down a side street. The alien walkers fired at where the tanks had been, destroying empty buildings. By the time they adjusted their aim, the human tanks had vanished into the maze of city streets. "This is how we fight," Oram told her crew. "Hit and run. Use the terrain. Make them work for every meter." 3 blocks away, Specialist Sung-min treated wounded soldiers in a makeshift hospital. The building had been a shopping mall yesterday. Now it was filled with bleeding men and women on stretchers. Sung-min worked without stopping. His hands were covered in blood. His uniform was soaked with it. A soldier grabbed his arm. "Doc, you need to evacuate." "They're coming." "I'm not leaving these people," Sung-min said. He injected painkiller into a woman with a shattered leg. "You'll die if you stay. Then I die." Sung-min moved to the next patient. "My family is in Seoul. These soldiers are holding the line so my parents can escape. I'm not abandoning them." The soldier stared at him for a moment, then picked up his rifle and returned to the defensive position outside. Sung-min heard the story spread among the troops. The medic who refused to leave. It gave them courage. If the medic stayed, they would stay 2 above Earth's atmosphere. Captain Hyun-woo led his squadron against a group of alien fighters. His original squadron of 36 jets was down to 19. But they had destroyed 42 alien craft. The aliens were better armed and better protected, but humans were better pilots. "Ghost lead, I've got 3 on my tail." A pilot called out. "Brake left, I'm coming," Hyun-woo replied. He pushed his jet into a hard turn that would have knocked out most pilots. The G-forces crushed him into his seat, but he held the turn. He came up behind the alien fighters chasing his wingmen. His targeting computer locked on. Hyun-woo remembered what he had learned. The shields flickered for 1/3 of a second after being hit. He fired 1 missile. It hit the shield. He counted 1, 2, 3. He fired his guns. The bullets punched through the weakened shield and shredded the alien fighter. "That's how you do it," he shouted. "Hit them twice in quick succession." His squadron adapted instantly. They began coordinating attacks. One pilot would hit the shield with missiles. Another would immediately follow with gunfire. Alien fighters began falling from the sky. In the Sahara Desert, human forces faced an alien landing zone. 300 Calthrine ships had set down there, thinking the empty desert was safe. They were wrong. Human artillery hidden in the dunes opened fire. Rockets launched from hidden positions. Even as alien shields deflected most shots, some got through. More importantly, humans had buried the desert with mines and traps. Alien soldiers stepped on hidden explosives. Their vehicles triggered massive buried bombs. The safe landing zone became a killing field. At UN headquarters in New York, Ambassador Yol coordinated the global defense. Communication systems had been destroyed and rebuilt 3 times already, but humans kept adapting. They used old radio systems, cell phone networks. Even amateur radio operators helped relay messages. "We have a report from Tokyo," an aide said. "They captured an alien scout ship." It crashed and the pilot survived. "Bring the pilot here," Yo ordered, "and get our best engineers to study that ship." Within hours, human engineers were taking apart the captured scout ship. They worked with incredible speed, documenting everything. The power system, the shields, the weapons. Every piece was photographed, measured, and analyzed. Dr. Jia arrived to help with the analysis. She hadn't slept in 36 hours. None of them had. But exhaustion didn't matter. Understanding the alien technology might save Earth. "Look at this," Jia said, pointing at the shield generator. "It's elegant but simple. They over-engineered it for power, but that creates the recharge gap we noticed. Can we copy it?" An engineer asked. "Not quickly," Jia admitted. "But we can understand how to beat it. And maybe we can adapt our own equipment to work with pieces of their technology." Across the globe, similar scenes played out. Humans studied captured alien equipment. They experimented with alien weapons. They tried every crazy idea anyone suggested. Some ideas failed. Some worked. When something worked, the information spread to every human force within hours. The aliens had never faced anything like this. Most species they conquered were peaceful. They had technology but no experience with war. Humans were different. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. Against each other. They knew every dirty trick, every tactic, every way to turn weakness into strength. Lieutenant Bo Ram's tank battalion had been reduced to 7 vehicles. But they had destroyed 11 alien walkers. The aliens were now hesitant to enter the city. They knew human tanks were hiding somewhere, waiting to ambush. "Lieutenant, we're getting reports," her radio operator said. "The alien commanders are requesting reinforcements. They expected to secure Seoul in 4 hours. It's been 2 days and they still haven't taken downtown." The Oram smiled grimly. "Good, let them send more. We'll destroy those too." But her crew could see the exhaustion on her face. They were all exhausted, running on stimulants and willpower. How much longer could they hold? Specialist Seung-min asked himself the same question. His makeshift hospital was now under direct attack. Alien soldiers were advancing on the building. Human troops fought them at every entrance, but they were being pushed back. "Doc, we have to go," a soldier screamed. Seung-min looked at his patients. 23 wounded soldiers who couldn't walk. He couldn't carry them all. He couldn't save them all. "Get those who can walk out of here," Seung-min ordered. "Everyone else, give me your grenades." The soldiers understood. They handed over their explosives. Seung-min placed them around the room, rigging them to a dead man's switch. If the aliens came in, he would blow the building. He wouldn't let them take his patients alive. The aliens must have sensed something. They stopped their advance on the hospital. They moved to other targets instead. Maybe their sensors detected the explosives. Maybe they just decided the building wasn't worth the casualties. Seung-min sat down heavily, still holding the detonator. He didn't know if he would have really done it. He was glad he didn't have to find out. Above the Atlantic Ocean, Captain Hyun-woo's squadron intercepted an alien bomber group heading for New York. The bombers were massive. One of them could level half the city. "All units, concentrate fire on the lead bomber," Hyun-woo ordered. His remaining 12 jets swarmed the bomber. They hit it from every angle, exploiting the shield recharge gap. The bomber's shields failed. Human missiles tore into its hull. The massive ship began to fall, trailing fire. "We got it." Someone cheered. "Stay focused," Hyun-woo snapped. "There are 4 more bombers. We're not done." But his fuel was low. His ammunition was nearly gone. His pilots were exhausted. They had been flying for 3 days straight, taking turns napping in their cockpits between missions. Just then, his radio crackled. "Ghost Lead, this is Dragon Squadron. We're here to relieve you." Hyun-woo saw them appear on radar. 30 fresh fighters coming from the west. Japanese pilots. They had flown across the Pacific to help defend New York. "Dragon Squadron, the bombers are yours," Hyun-woo said. "Ghost Squadron is returning to base." As his jets turned back toward land, Hyunwoo thought about what they had accomplished. Against impossible odds, humanity was still fighting, still holding. The aliens had lost hundreds of ships, thousands of soldiers, but the cost to Earth was terrible. Millions of humans were dead. Entire cities were destroyed. How much longer could they hold? Admiral Victor asked himself the same question. But from the opposite perspective, his fleet had lost 600 ships in 48 hours. 600. That was more than the last 50 Calthrine conquests combined. How is this possible? He demanded. They're primitives. They don't even have proper shields. His officers had no good answers. The humans fought like devils. They used terrain. They used ambush tactics. They coordinated perfectly despite having no central command. Every time the Calthrine secured an area, humans counterattacked. Worse, the humans were learning, fast. They had already figured out the shield recharge weakness. Now they were exploiting it constantly. And they had captured several Calthrine ships. Who knew what they were learning from those? Sir, recommend we pull back to orbit and bombard the planet from space. His second officer suggested. Victor almost agreed. But the high command had been clear. They wanted Earth intact. The planet was valuable. Its resources, its position in this region of space. Destroying it from orbit was not acceptable. General Insu sat in an underground bunker 300 meters below. Seoul, the room was filled with military leaders from every nation. For the first time in human history, all of Earth's armies were working together. The situation was desperate enough to overcome centuries of mistrust. We need a new strategy, Insu said. He pulled up a map showing alien positions. Red markers covered the globe. They have more ships, better weapons, superior technology. We cannot win a fair fight. Then we don't fight fair, a Russian general said. Insu nodded. Exactly. I propose Doctrine Zero. If we cannot win, we make sure they gain nothing from conquering us. He explained his plan. Every captured alien ship would be rigged with explosives. Every major city would have hidden nuclear weapons that could be detonated if the city fell. Every factory, every resource, everything of value would be destroyed before the aliens could take it. We turn Earth into a poisoned prize, Insu said. They came here for our planet and our resources. We'll make sure that conquering us costs more than it's worth. Some leaders protested. Destroying their own cities? That was madness. But others understood. It was the only card they had left to play. There's more, Insu continued. We've captured 17 alien ships so far. We're training human pilots to fly them. We'll use their own weapons against them. That got everyone's attention. Human pilots and alien ships. It was crazy. It might also work. Captain Soo-jin was one of the pilots chosen for this mission. She had been a naval officer commanding a destroyer before the war. Now she stood in the hangar bay of a captured alien cruiser, staring up at the massive ship. You can really fly this? A technician asked her. We're about to find out, Soo-jin replied. The alien control systems were strange but not impossible to understand. Dr. Jia's team had created basic translation guides. The symbols were different, but the concepts were similar. Throttle, steering, weapons, every ship in the universe needed the same basic controls. Soo-jin and her crew of 20 humans climbed aboard. The ship had been built for a crew of 50 aliens, but humans were smaller. They fit barely. Power up the engines, Soo-jin ordered. The cruiser hummed to life. On her main screen, status indicators appeared. The technicians had already loaded the ship's computer with translated labels. Everything was in Korean now. Take us up, Soo-jin said. The cruiser lifted off smoothly. Soo-jin felt a moment of savage satisfaction. The aliens built these ships to conquer. Now humans would use them to survive. In Sydney, Corporal J1 crouched in the ruins of what used to be the Opera House. His unit had been holding this position for 7 days. They started with 200 soldiers. Now there were 18 left. The aliens had surrounded them, cut them off. Every military manual said they should retreat. But J1's commander had different orders. Hold until relief arrives, the commander had said before dying from plasma burns. So they held. 18 soldiers against an alien force estimated at 2,000. The math was insane. But J1 had learned that math didn't matter anymore. Determination did. Corporal, they're massing for another attack, his second said. The woman's name was Private Hygiene. She was 19 years old and had killed more aliens than J1 could count. Same as before, J1 said. Let them get close. Hit them with everything, then fall back to the next position. It was a brutal strategy. Trade ground for casualties. Make the aliens pay for every meter. They couldn't win, but they could make the aliens regret attacking this position. The aliens came in a wave. J1's unit opened fire, grenades, machine guns. Captured alien plasma rifles. The aliens fell by the dozens, but they kept coming. Fall back, J1 ordered. His unit retreated through prepared passages in the rubble. Behind them they left mines and traps. Explosions ripped through the alien advance. More casualties. The aliens stopped their attack, again, for the 4th time that day. They were learning to fear this small unit of humans who refused to die. At the UN command center, Ambassador Yull received a report that made him smile for the first time in days. Human forces had successfully read alien communication codes. Every alien message was now being intercepted and translated. What are they saying? Yull asked. They're panicking, the intelligence officer replied. Their field commanders are requesting permission to retreat. Their casualties are over 400,000 soldiers and 6,000 ships. 6,000 ships. Yull could hardly believe it. When the war started, Earth hadn't even had 6,000 military aircraft total. Now they had destroyed 6,000 alien warships. What else? Yull asked. They're confused about our tactics. One commander filed a report saying humans don't fight logically. We attack when we should retreat. We defend positions that have no strategic value. We sacrifice ourselves for objectives that don't make military sense. Yull laughed bitterly. They don't understand. They've never fought an enemy defending their home. Every position has value. Every hour we hold costs them casualties and gives our civilians time to evacuate. Logic doesn't matter when you're fighting for survival. The intelligence officer hesitated. Sir, there's something else. The aliens are broadcasting these intercepted messages to their other conquered species. And those species are listening. There are reports of unrest on 40 Calthrine-controlled worlds. They're seeing that the Empire can be beaten. Yull felt hope for the first time since the invasion started. Earth wasn't just fighting for itself anymore. It was showing the galaxy that the Calthrine Empire could bleed. Dr. Jia worked in a lab filled with captured alien technology. Her team had grown to 300 scientists from every nation. They worked around the clock, reverse engineering everything they could. We've cracked their shield system, Jia announced to her team. We can't build our own yet, but we can install captured alien shield generators on our ships. How long to retrofit our fighters? Someone asked. 6 weeks for the first squadron. Faster after we streamline the process? 6 weeks. They might not have 6 weeks, but they had to try. Jia also had another project. Human pilots reported that they could control alien ships more easily than expected. She theorized it was because human brains were more adaptable than alien brains. Neuroplasticity, humans could learn new patterns faster. If we're right, Jia told her research partner, humans might be able to use alien technology better than the aliens themselves. Our adaptability is our greatest weapon. Captain Sujin proved that theory correct. She led the first squad of human-piloted alien ships into battle over the Pacific. 5 cruisers against an alien supply convoy. All ships, target their escorts, Sujin ordered. Ignore the supply ships for now. Her cruiser dove toward an alien destroyer. The destroyer's crew must have been confused. Why was a Calthrine cruiser attacking them? By the time they realized something was wrong, Su-Jin had fired her main guns. The destroyer exploded. The other human-piloted cruisers took out the remaining escorts within minutes. Then they captured the supply ships intact. Weapons, ammunition, supplies, all of it now belonged to Earth. Base, this is Su-Jin. Mission accomplished. We're bringing home 4 captured supply vessels. The victory was broadcast across all human channels. Humans were now flying alien ships. The message was clear. We're learning. We're adapting. We're becoming more dangerous every day. General Insu watched the broadcast and allowed himself a small smile. Doctrine Zero was working. The aliens weren't gaining ground anymore. In some areas, they were losing it. Sir, we have a situation in Sydney, an aide reported. Corporal J1's unit. They've been holding that position for 9 days. They should have been overrun days ago. Why weren't they? The aliens are refusing to attack. They've designated that position as a death zone. They're going around it rather than through it. And Sue laughed. 1 corporal and 18 soldiers have scared the aliens so badly they're avoiding them. Put J1 up for a medal. And get relief forces to them immediately. Yes, sir. There's something else. The aliens are leaving survivors now. In every battle, they're letting 1 or 2 humans escape. Why would they do that? The aide looked uncomfortable. We think it's psychological warfare. The survivors spread stories about how brutal the fighting is, how many of them are dying. It's hurting their morale. And Sue understood immediately. But it's working against them. The aliens think they're demoralizing us. Instead, every survivor is proof that we can beat them. Exactly, sir. Across the solar system, Vice Admiral Krenak took command of the Calthrine fleet. Admiral Victor was dead, killed when his flagship was destroyed by human fighters who exploited the shield. Recharge gap, Krenak looked at the casualty reports and felt sick. 6,000 ships destroyed. 400,000 soldiers dead or missing. The invasion was supposed to take 6 hours. It had been 3 weeks and Earth still fought. Give me options, Krenak demanded. We could pull back and glass the planet from orbit, one officer suggested. High Command won't allow it. They want Earth intact. Then we need reinforcements. Another 5,000 ships. Krenak shook his head. High Command won't send them. We have rebellions breaking out on 40 worlds. The fleet is stretched thin. We're on our own. Then what do? Krenak stared at Earth on his view screen. The blue planet that should have been an easy conquest. We keep fighting. Vice Admiral Krenak watched in horror as human ships attacked his fleet. But these weren't primitive human ships anymore. These were Calthrine cruisers and destroyers. His own ships. Captured and turned against him. How many? Krenak asked quietly. 500 confirmed, his tactical officer replied. Maybe more. They're using our own identification codes. We can't tell which ships are theirs and which are ours until they start shooting. 500 ships. The humans had captured and learned to fly 500 Calthrine vessels in less than a month. It was impossible. It was happening anyway. Order all ships to verify their identity codes every 10 minutes, Krenak commanded. And prepare for engagement. The battle began badly for the Calthrine fleet. Human pilots attacked in patterns the aliens had never seen before. They used kamikaze tactics, ramming damaged human ships into alien vessels. They exploited the shield recharge gap that Calthrine commanders still hadn't found a way to fix. They fought like they had nothing to lose because they didn't. Earth was their only home. There was nowhere to retreat to. On Earth, Dr. Jia led the Xenotech integration program. She now commanded a team of 2,000 scientists and engineers. They worked in captured alien ships, pulling them apart and putting them back together with human modifications. We've successfully installed alien shield generators on 12 of our fighter jets. Jia reported to General Insu. They're not as strong as the alien shields, but they work. Our pilots now have a chance. How long until we can shield all our fighters? 6 months at current pace? But we're getting faster every day. Human engineers are learning to work with alien technology better than the aliens themselves. Insu raised an eyebrow. Better than the aliens? Yes, we think it's because humans are more adaptable. The Calthrian Empire has used the same technology for 1,000 years. They're not used to innovating. We innovate constantly because we have to. Pulled up a schematic. Look at this. We took an alien plasma cannon and modified it to work with human power systems. The aliens would never think to do that. They would just build a new power system. We adapt what we have. Insu smiled. So our weakness is actually our strength. We're primitives who don't know the proper way to do things, so we do whatever works. Exactly. In London, Private Min SEO had become a legend. A sniper with over 200 confirmed alien kills. The aliens called her the Ghost of London. They refused to patrol certain sectors of the city because they knew she was there. Min-SEO moved through the ruins silently. She had been a competitive shooter before the war. Now she was a hunter. And aliens were her prey. Through her scope she spotted an alien patrol. 6 soldiers moving cautiously through rubble. They were scared. She could see it in how they moved. Always checking corners. Always expecting ambush. Good. Fear makes you slow. Min SEO lined up her shot. The lead alien stopped to scan the area with his sensor device. She waited, breathed, squeezed the trigger. The alien dropped. The others scattered, looking for cover. But Min SEO had already moved. She fired from a new position. Another alien fell. Then another. The remaining 3 aliens ran. They abandoned their patrol route and fled back to their base. Min SEO let them go. She wanted them to tell others what happened. She wanted the fear to spread. Later she radioed in her report. 3 kills confirmed. 3 enemies fled. This sector is clear. Copy that, Ghost, the radio operator replied. You know they've put a bounty on you? 1 million credits to whoever kills the Ghost of London. Min SEO smiled coldly. Good, maybe that will make them work harder. I'm getting bored. Above Earth's orbit, Commander Taeyang led the orbital counteroffensive. He had been given command of 100 human-piloted alien cruisers. His mission was simple. Take the fight to the Calthrian fleet. All ships, this is Taeyang. Today we stop defending and start attacking. Our families are counting on us. Our world is counting on us. Make every shot count. His fleet charged toward the Calthrian defensive line. The aliens opened fire. Plasma bolts and missiles filled space. Taeyang's lead ship took 3 direct hits. The captured alien shields held, barely. Return fire. Taeyang ordered. 100 ships fired as one. The Calthrian defensive line shattered. Human ships poured through the gap, engaging alien vessels at close range. The fighting was brutal. Ships exploded on both sides. But the humans kept pushing forward. Taeyang's tactical screen showed the battlefield. He was outnumbered 3-1. But his ships were winning. Human pilots were better. They adapted faster. They took risks that no sane Calthrian commander would allow. Sir, the enemy is retreating. His weapons officer shouted. Taeyang couldn't believe it. The Calthrian fleet was pulling back. They were giving up orbital space. Humans now controlled the high ground above their own planet. Don't let them regroup, Taeyang ordered. Press the attack. The human fleet pursued. More alien ships fell. The Calthrian fleet fragmented as different commanders made different decisions. Some tried to hold position. Some retreated to the moon. Some fled the solar system entirely. Chaos, beautiful chaos. Back on Earth, Ambassador Yul received the news from orbit. Humans had won a major space battle. The Calthrian fleet was in disarray. For the first time since the invasion began, momentum had shifted. Broadcast this to every human force, Yul ordered. And make sure the aliens intercept it. I want them to know they're losing. The message went out on every channel. Human forces cheered. They had survived. They were winning. The impossible was becoming possible, but Yul knew the war wasn't over. The Calthrines still had thousands of ships. They still controlled large parts of Earth's surface. This was a victory, not the victory. "Sir, we're receiving broadcasts from the Calthrine Empire," a communications officer said. "From their conquered worlds. They're asking how we did it, how we defeated the Empire." Yul thought carefully about his response. Then he recorded a message. "To all species under Calthrine rule. We are humans of Earth. We were told we couldn't win. We were told resistance was futile. We were told to surrender. We refused. We fought. We died. But we didn't give up. And now the Empire is bleeding. They can be beaten. They are not invincible. Remember that. Remember us." The message spread across the galaxy. On 40 Calthrine-controlled worlds, rebellions intensified. Conquered species who had accepted their fate for decades suddenly saw hope. If humans could beat the Empire, maybe they could too. Vice Admiral Krenak saw the casualty reports and wanted to scream. He had lost another 2,000 ships in the orbital battle. 2,000! His fleet was now down to less than 900 combat-effective vessels. "Sir, High Command is demanding a status report," his communications officer said nervously. "Tell them we need reinforcements immediately," Krenak replied. "Tell them if we don't get support, we will lose this world. They say no reinforcements are available." "The rebellions. I know about the rebellions," Krenak shouted. He took a breath and controlled himself. "What are our orders?" "Continue prosecution of the war. Take the planet at any cost." "Any cost." Krenak looked at his remaining ships. At any cost meant these ships would be destroyed. Meant his soldiers would die. All to conquer one primitive world. "We should retreat," his second officer said quietly. "This war is lost." "If we retreat without authorization, High Command will execute us," Krenak replied. "We either die here or die at home. At least here we can fight." But he didn't believe his own words anymore. They weren't going to win. The humans had learned too fast. Adapted too well. Fought too hard on Earth. Corporal J1 finally received relief. His unit had held Sydney for 11 days against impossible odds. When the relief force arrived, they found 18 soldiers still alive, surrounded by over 400 alien bodies. "How?" the relief commander asked. "How did you survive?" J1 shrugged. He was too exhausted to explain. "We just didn't stop fighting. Every time they attacked, we fought back. Eventually they stopped attacking." The relief commander looked at the defensive position. It was a masterpiece of improvised fortification. Every angle covered. Every approach mined. Every piece of rubble turned into a weapon. You, 18 soldiers, killed 400 aliens and held this position for 11 days. Yes, sir. Do you know what that means? You cost them an entire battalion. You delayed their advance by 2 weeks. You're heroes. J1 didn't feel like a hero. He felt tired. But when he saw other soldiers looking at him with respect and hope, he understood. His small unit had proved something important. Humans couldn't be broken. Dr. Jia received data from the latest captured alien ship. It was a command vessel with complete tactical databases. She studied the Calthrine battle plans and felt excitement building. "General Insu, you need to see this," she said over the secure channel. "What did you find?" "Everything. Their complete fleet composition, their supply routes, their command structure, and most importantly, their orders from High Command." "What do the orders say?" Gus smiled. "They're not getting reinforcements. They're on their own. High Command has written off the invasion fleet. They're fighting with what they have, and we're destroying them faster than they can recover." Insu understood immediately. They're at the breaking point. We need to push harder. Break their will to fight. There's more. Their conquered species are rebelling. The Empire is collapsing. We didn't just defend Earth. Ship Commander Nelmuth sat in his captain's chair, watching the stars blur past his viewport. His ship was one of 17 vessels fleeing the Sol system. Behind them, Earth burned. But the humans still fought. After everything, they still fought. Nelmuth's ship had started the invasion with 200 crew members. Now there were 43. Most had died in the constant battles. Some had been captured. A few had simply given up and taken their own lives rather than face what was coming. "Commander, we're detecting human ships on pursuit vector," his sensor operator reported. Of course they were. The humans wouldn't let them leave peacefully. Nelmuth didn't blame them. If someone had invaded his homeworld, killed millions of his people, he wouldn't let the invaders escape either. "Can we outrun them?" Nelmuth asked. "For now. But they're learning our technology. Eventually they'll match our speed." Nelmuth closed his eyes. They were dead ships flying. They just hadn't stopped moving yet. On Earth, Commander Taeyang tracked the fleeing Calthrine ships. His fleet could catch them, could destroy them all. 17 ships wouldn't be hard to eliminate. "Sir, permission to pursue and destroy," one of his captains requested. Taeyang considered it. Every instinct said yes. Kill them all. Make sure none of them survived. But then he thought about the bigger picture. "Negative," Taeyang said. "Let them go, sir?" "Let them go," Taeyang repeated. "Those 17 ships are going to return to their empire. They're going to tell everyone what happened here. They're going to spread fear. That's worth more than killing 17 ships." He opened a channel to the fleeing Calthrine vessels. He knew they were listening. "Attention, Calthrine ships. This is Commander Taeyang of the Earth Defense Force. You came to conquer us. You came with 9,700 ships. Now you leave with 17. We're letting you run so you can warn your empire. Tell them what happened here. Tell them that Earth is not prey. We are predators who learn mercy. Tell them not to make us forget it." Nelmuth heard the message. He understood what the human commander was doing. The 17 ships weren't survivors. They were messengers. Living warnings. "Send a response," Nelmuth ordered. "Tell them we understand." His communications officer nodded and sent a simple message back. "We will deliver your warning." The human ships stopped their pursuit. The 17 Calthrine vessels continued their flight toward home. Nelmuth knew this journey would haunt him forever. But he also knew he had a duty. He had to tell his people what really happened at Earth. In Seoul, President Hun stood before a joint session of the United Nations. Every nation was represented. Every face showed exhaustion, grief, and something else, pride. 3 months ago, an alien empire sent nearly 10,000 ships to conquer our world, Juan began. They thought we would surrender in 6 hours. They thought we were primitives, divided, weak. They were wrong. The assembly hall was silent. Everyone remembered those terrible first days. The bombardments. The massacres. The fear. "We lost millions of people," Juan continued. "Entire cities were destroyed. Our world will carry the scars of this war for generations. But we survived. We fought. We won. Not because we were stronger. Not because we had better technology. We won because we refused to lose." He looked around the room. The aliens didn't understand humanity. They didn't understand that we've been fighting wars for thousands of years. They didn't understand that we adapt. We learn, we never give up. They thought our divisions made us weak. But when threatened, we became one people. One world. One purpose. President Juan pulled up a screen showing the retreating alien ships. 17 ships are returning to the Calthrine Empire. 17 witnesses to what happens when you attack Earth. They will tell their people that humans are dangerous, that we are not to be trifled with. That warning will spread across the galaxy. But we cannot stop here, Juan said. We cannot simply return to how things were before. The galaxy knows about us now. We must be ready. We must be strong. And we must make sure that no other species ever looks at Earth and sees prey. The assembly erupted in applause. It lasted for 5 minutes. When it finally quieted, Ambassador Yull stood to speak. "Mr. President, the United Nations has voted. We are creating the Earth Defense Force, a unified military representing all nations. We will pool our resources, our technology. Our knowledge. We will build a fleet capable of defending our world and protecting our interests. And we have something else to announce, Yo continued. We have been contacted by 3 species who were conquered by the Calthrine Empire. They want to form an alliance with us. They want to learn how we defeated the Empire. They want to fight back. President Hun nodded. Then we will teach them. We will help them. Earth will not stand alone, and neither will they. In orbit above Earth, Admiral Jiwoo stood on the bridge of humanity's first interstellar warship. It was a hybrid design. Part human engineering, part captured alien technology, but entirely different from anything either species had built before. The ship was called Unity, a symbol of what humanity had become during the war, united, determined, ready to face the galaxy. Dr. Ja stood beside Jiwoo. She had been promoted to Chief Science Officer of the Earth Defense Force. Her team had reverse engineered enough alien technology to give humanity a fighting chance in space. What do you think? Jiwoo asked, gesturing at the view screen showing Earth below. I think we were lucky, Ja replied honestly. If the aliens had been smarter, if they had just bombarded us from orbit instead of trying to conquer us intact, we would have lost. But they didn't. They made mistakes. We exploited those mistakes. Yes, and now we have their technology. We have their weapons. We have their ships. In 6 months, we've advanced our space technology by 1,000 years. Jiwoo smiled grimly. The Calthrine Empire gave us everything we needed to fight them. They armed their own enemy. On the command deck, Captain Han-woo prepared his fighter wing for the first patrol outside the solar system. He had survived the war. Most of his original squadron hadn't, but those who lived were the best pilots humanity had ever produced. Ghost Squadron, this is Ghost Lead, Han-woo broadcast. We're about to make history. First human patrol beyond our solar system? Stay sharp. We don't know what's out there. His squadron of 36 fighters launched from Unity's hangar bay. They were hybrid designs too. Human maneuverability with alien shields and weapons. They were faster than anything the Calthrine had fielded during the war. As they passed beyond Pluto's orbit, Han-woo looked back at the solar system. At Earth, his home. The world they had defended against impossible odds. Ghost Lead to Unity. We are clear of the solar system. Beginning patrol route. Far away in the Calthrine Empire's capital, Nelmuth stood before the High Council. His 17 ships had made it home. Barely, 3 had broken down during the journey. But they delivered their message. You're telling us that 9,700 ships were defeated by primitives? A council member demanded. Yes, honored council, Nelmuth replied. The humans are not primitives. They are warriors. They have been fighting wars since before our empire existed. They know every tactic, every strategy, every dirty trick, and they learn faster than any species we've encountered. This is impossible. I watched it happen, Nelmuth said quietly. I watched our fleet get destroyed. Ship by ship, day by day. The humans captured our vessels and learned to fly them within weeks. They reverse-engineered our technology in months. They adapted to everything we did, and when we thought we had them beaten, they just kept fighting. The council chamber was silent. Finally, the head counselor spoke. What do you recommend? Declare Earth a forbidden zone, Nelmuth said. Any ship that enters the Sol system should be fired upon by us. Not by them, by us. Because if we don't stop our own people from going there, the humans will. And next time, they won't let anyone return to warn us? You're saying we should fear them? Yes, because they're coming for us. Not today. Maybe not this year. But they're building ships, training soldiers, learning everything we taught them. Eventually, they will come to make sure we never threaten them again. And when they do, we won't survive it. The council dismissed Nelmuth. They argued for hours. Some wanted to launch another invasion. Most wanted to forget Earth existed. In the end, they made their decision. Earth was declared forbidden. The entire Sol system was marked as a danger zone on all Calthrine star charts. Any captain who approached Earth would face execution. Not by humans. By their own empire, the mighty Calthrine Empire, conquerors of 800 worlds, was now afraid of one planet. One species, humans. On Earth, General Insu reviewed the latest intelligence reports. The Calthrine Empire had declared Earth forbidden. Other alien species were requesting diplomatic contact. 3 former Calthrine colonies wanted military alliances. "We've become a power in the galaxy," Insu said to his staff. 3 months ago, we didn't even know aliens existed. Now they fear us. Is that good? Someone asked. Insu thought about it. "I don't know. But it's better than being conquered. We fought for our survival. We earned our place in the galaxy. Now we have to make sure we use that position wisely." Lieutenant Ba'uram sat in her rebuilt tank, now upgraded with alien armor and shields. Her battalion was being reorganized as part of the Earth Defense Force's ground units.